All right, everyone get ready, because today we're going to be diving deep into how women signal interest.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, we're always getting questions about this topic.
Yeah, for sure.
And this time, we're going super deep on this source. 5 signs she's claiming her interest in you and warning other women to back off.
Catchy title.
It is catchy, right? And it might sound a little tongue-in-cheek at first, but
Definitely.
I think there's some real insights in here about nonverbal cues and really how we signal interest without even realizing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so much of communication is unspoken, right? It's all about those subtle cues, and this source does a great job of breaking those down.
It really does. And they jump right in with this idea of proximity and touch.
Yeah,
Which I thought was really, I mean, we've all felt that pull towards someone you're interested in.
right.
But I don't think we always think about it as a deliberate signal.
Yeah, it's not always conscious, right? But it's definitely there. Like when you're attracted to someone, you kind of naturally want to be closer to them.
You gravitate towards them.
Exactly. It's like our biology is at work, using physical closeness to kind of spark a connection.
So that's why I always end up standing next to the cute barista at the coffee shop.
Exactly. Maybe not a coincidence.
That's primal instinct.
Primal instinct.
Yeah.
And then there's touch, too. The source talks about things like a light brush of the hand or a playful nudge.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And you know how touch can create this, like, instant sense of intimacy? Have you noticed that?
Totally. But I always think it's so tricky with touch. Because how do you know?
Yeah.
Like, what's friendly and what's, something more?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, a friendly pat on the back is very different from, like, a lingering touch on the arm, right?
Exactly.
It's all about context. A quick touch on the shoulder in a crowded bar probably was just trying to get your attention.
Makes sense.
But someone's, like, finding excuses to touch you repeatedly, especially in a more intimate setting.
Then, yeah, could be a sign of interest.
So it's all about reading those cues.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Reading the situation, paying attention to the nuances of touch.
It's like learning a whole new language.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Now, another thing this source talks about, and I love this, is shared experiences.
Yes.
And inside jokes.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I think that is so powerful, the way that, you can have one shared experience with someone
Right.
and instantly feel closer to them.
Yeah, it's about creating this shared history, even if it's something small. Like remembering a funny conversation or a favorite place you both visited. Those memories become anchors for your connection.
It's true. And inside jokes are like having this secret code, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That only the two of you share.
It says we get each other
Exactly.
on a deeper level.
It creates that sense of belonging and exclusivity.
Exactly. And that feeling, that can be so powerful in bringing two people together.
Oh, totally. I mean, think about your own relationships, right? Like those inside jokes. Yeah.
Those little shared memories, they're like the glue that holds it all together.
They really are. And what's really interesting is how this source brings this concept into the digital world.
Oh yeah, social media?
Social media. Exactly. It's like a whole new arena for flirting and sending those subtle signals.
Because even on social media, you can create those shared experiences, right?
You can think about it. Liking someone's posts, leaving playful comments, tagging them in memes that remind you of them. It's all about making a connection and staying on their radar.
I love how the source calls it claiming space in someone's digital life.
I like that too.
It's like planting your flag.
Right. It's saying, hey, I'm here and I'm interested. And social media can be like a really low stakes way to test the waters.
Oh, sure.
It's much easier to like someone's post than to walk up to them in a bar and start talking.
Totally. It takes the pressure off.
Yeah, definitely. Especially in those early stages.
But speaking of taking action, the source also talks about this thing they call protective instincts. What's the deal with that?
Well, have you ever noticed how someone might sort of subtly guard their connection with the person they're interested in? Like maybe they join a conversation you're having, or they playfully tease you about interacting with someone else.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
It's like a subtle way of saying, back off, this one's mine. But, it can be a little tricky.
It can be, for sure.
Yeah.
Because is it coming from a place of jealousy? Or is it just...
Yeah, that's a good point. It can
Right.
it can be driven by jealousy or possessiveness, for sure.
Yeah.
But the source makes this really interesting point that it can also come from a more positive place.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like a desire to protect something valuable.
Okay, so not being controlling, but just sort of safeguarding that connection.
Right, exactly. Like, this is important to me and I don't want to lose it.
Okay, that makes sense, but I still feel like that's one where you could easily misinterpret the signals.
No, absolutely. Clear communication is essential in those situations. And, being really mindful of individual boundaries.
Yeah.
Because not everyone's comfortable with public displays of possessiveness, even if they're well-intentioned,
Right. It's a very delicate dance.
It is.
But even more delicate, I think, is this next point that the source brings up, rituals and integration.
Yes.
Those special routines and habits that couples develop, and the big step of introducing someone to your inner circle.
Yeah, those are big milestones in any relationship.
Right.
Yeah, rituals like, grabbing coffee every Sunday morning or having like a weekly movie night. They create a sense of predictability and shared history. It's about weaving your lives together, thread by thread.
It's true. And those shared experiences, they lay the foundation for something much deeper, right?
Exactly. You're building a world together, brick by brick.
And then there's that even bigger step of bringing someone home to meet the family.
Oh, yeah.
Or introducing them to your closest friends.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's like saying, this person is important to me and I want them to be part of my life.
It's a big deal. It signifies trust, commitment, a willingness to share your most cherished relationships with someone new.
And, that leads us to the heart of what this source is really all about, right? Understanding those subtle ways we communicate our feelings and intentions without even saying a word.
Yes, exactly. It's about recognizing those small gestures that can actually speak volumes and appreciating the power of nonverbal communication.
Because sometimes actions really do speak louder than words.
They do. They really do.
And this source gives us, I think, a great starting point for having those conversations and understanding
I agree.
What to look for.
Yeah, it's like a roadmap to navigate the complex world of attraction and connection.
And I think the more we understand those subtle cues, the better equipped we are to build stronger, more fulfilling relationships. So we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to dive even deeper into this source and talk about some specific examples of how women use these signals to claim their interest.
Can't wait.
Stay tuned.
On that note about actions speaking louder than words, this source really emphasizes how important consistent communication is.
Yeah, it's not all about those grand gestures, is it?
No, not at all. It's those everyday things, those small acts of communication that really show you're invested.
Right. Like just texting first.
Exactly.
Or sharing little updates about your day.
Right. Or just checking in.
Yeah.
Seeing how someone's doing.
Exactly. Just showing that you're thinking of them.
Yeah, keeping that connection alive. Those little gestures can be so meaningful.
They can. And the source even mentions, like, helping with errands or remembering those little details.
Oh, yeah.
Or being there for someone when they need support. Those can really speak volumes.
They do. It's like you said, actions often speak louder than words.
Right. It's putting your money where your mouth is.
Yeah. Exactly. And it shows that you're not just saying you care, but you're actually demonstrating it.
Totally.
Yeah.
And this source also brought up something that I thought was really interesting, which is how a woman might react to your successes and your challenges.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Because I think it's really telling how someone responds.
Right.
When you share good news or when you're going through something tough.
Yeah.
Like, are they genuinely happy for you? Are they there to support you when you need it?
Right. If they are, I think that's a really good indicator.
It is, yeah. It shows that they're invested in your well-being, that they really care about your journey, that they're not just a casual observer.
Right.
They're an active participant in your life.
Exactly. And then the source also mentions sharing personal spaces.
Oh, yes.
Like inviting someone to places that are meaningful to you.
Yeah.
Whether that's a favorite park or even your own home.
That's a big step.
It is. It's kind of like letting someone into your inner world a little bit, right?
It is. It's letting them see the places and things that are special to you.
Right. It's a way of saying, I trust you enough to share this part of myself.
Yeah. And it creates new shared memories, which, as we talked about, can really strengthen that bond.
Definitely. And of course, all of this, this is about vulnerability. And I think it's important to acknowledge that reading these signals,
right,
it's not always easy.
No, it's not. There's no universal decoder ring for human behavior, unfortunately.
Right. We wish.
Right. There's always room for misinterpretation. And what might be a clear signal to one person could be completely missed by another.
And that's why I think communication is just so crucial.
It is.
It's not just about being able to pick up on those subtle cues, but also being willing to have those conversations.
Yes, to talk openly and honestly about what you're feeling and what you're seeing.
Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't just to decipher a code, right? It's really about building those genuine connections. And this source, I think, gives us some really great tools for doing that.
I agree.
It's like a roadmap for navigating the sometimes very confusing world of attraction and connection.
And the more we understand these subtle cues, the better equipped we are to build those really strong and fulfilling relationships.
So true. Okay, so as we wrap up our deep dive here into these subtle signs of attraction, I'm curious, what are some of the key takeaways that really stand out to you from all of this?
Well, I think the biggest one for me is just, remembering that communication, it's so much more than just the words we say.
Right, it's all those nonverbal cues, the little gestures.
Exactly. It can reveal so much about what someone's really feeling.
Yeah, and it's about, being mindful of the signals we're sending as well as the signals we're picking up on, because those unspoken messages, those can be the most powerful.
Well, they can be. And this source really highlights how important it is to pay attention to those nuances.
Right.
It's like learning a whole new language.
It is the language of attraction.
Exactly. And like with any language, the more you practice, the better you get at understanding the subtleties.
So for our listeners out there who are, maybe feeling a little lost in this whole world of signals and attraction, what advice would you give them?
Well, first and foremost, I'd say trust your gut. If you're picking up on those cues, those little things that make you think someone might be interested, chances are there's a reason for that.
It's like our intuition's giving us a little nudge saying, hey, pay attention.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to take a chance.
Right.
If you feel a spark, why not explore it? You never know where it could lead.
So true. But I think it's also important, to be mindful of boundaries.
Oh, absolutely.
And to respect the other person's space.
Yes. Because not everyone is comfortable with, those big gestures or over-the-top displays of affection.
Right. It's all about finding that balance.
Yes.
Between expressing your interest and being respectful.
Exactly. And I think that's where communication is so important.
Yes.
If you're not sure about something, just ask.
Just ask.
It's key in any relationship.
Right.
But especially when you're in those early stages.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Being open and honest.
Yes.
Even when it's a little awkward.
Even when it's awkward. And remember, it's a two-way street.
Oh, that's such a good point.
So just as you're paying attention to the signals you're receiving, be mindful of the signals you're sending as well.
Right, because you never know who might be picking up on those cues.
Exactly.
And maybe feeling a little spark of their own.
And on that note, I think we've covered some really valuable insights today.
We have.
Yeah.
We've really delved into this secret language of attraction.
I have.
Explored how powerful those nonverbal cues can be.
Yes.
And of course, emphasize how important that clear communication is.
It's been a fascinating deep dive into this dance of connection.
It really has.
Yeah.
And I hope our listeners out there are feeling, a little bit more confident.
Yes.
A little bit more aware.
More empowered.
To go out there and navigate this whole world.
Absolutely.
So until next time, happy deep diving, everyone.
Happy deep diving.